This is our intro for Shamanic Chinese Medicine 2023-24 cohort, and excited to have folks here and ready to get into the way that we always start our classes, which is with Qigong practice. So you will be learning Qigong with John throughout the year. And yeah, John is a movement therapist and who's been doing this work for, I don't know, 12 years or something. It's been a while.
Yeah, 12 years with Qigong and movement practice since 1999,
20.
so 25 years,
Yeah.
or 24 years.
25 almost. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's get into that and then we'll chat afterwards. So let's start the practice.
All right, sounds good. So everyone, I'm just get my camera here. There we go. So let's go ahead and do a little Qigong practice. I'm going to give you an introduction to some of the basics of what we do. You'll be learning during the course. So the idea behind that is we just want to give you a sense of it. So we'll go into a lot more detail during the course. But to begin, let's find a place you'd like to stand, and then we will get started. Okay. So to begin, let's just bring our awareness to our feet, just because we always want to have an upright posture to do Qigong. So we want to make sure that our feet are about shoulder width apart, and we always base that by the big toe. And just make sure your knees are bent, your spine is nice and long. And we'll, of course, get into more detail about posture as we go through the course. But to get just a sense of it now, just feeling a sense of your feet on the floor, a little bit of a sense of there's some space above you, and you're connecting with that energy. Good. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let's just let go of any tension you might have had before you came on to join us today. So you can just arrive a little bit more into this present moment. Good. One more deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then bring your focus to the center of your palms. We're going to use them as if they're suction cups. So let's breathe in and imagine we can grab some energy from the earth. Turn them forward and let's grab some from nature. Turn them up towards the ceiling and grab some from the sky. Let's wash away any stress and any tension down the front of the body. And just send that down into the earth. And then let's inhale again and grab some more from the earth, more from nature, more from the sky above. Same movement. Let's imagine we're cleansing the back of the head, the neck, the shoulders, the spine, the buttocks and legs, all the way down to the earth. And one more time, gathering earth, nature, and the sky above. Let's open the crown. Let's clean the brain. Let's clean the throat and the chest, abdomen and pelvis, legs, all the way down through your feet and down into the earth. Good. You can give a little flick away just to release any of that tension. So we work in many ways with Qigong, and one of the first things we want to do is clear out all the bad energy. We call that purging. We want to clear out the body of any tension we're holding, any stress, any anxiety, any fear, worries, and anger, frustrations. So we're going to do an exercise called counter swing. So to begin, let's just start with a really simple movement. We're just going to lift our arms and then let them drop. It's that simple. We're going to lift our arms and let them drop. But we're going to take them into a flow. So we lift them and now let the one arm go in the front and one arm go behind you. Inhale, exhale. Inhale at the center, exhale at the side, as if we can toss a ball and toss that energy away that doesn't support us. Let's just give it a little bit more release here. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth as we twist from side to side. Just letting go. Just noticing anything that you want to let go of. Maybe there's some emotion in there, some thoughts. Get something spinning in your head. Let's just see if we can toss it away, or even a portion of it would give you a little help. And just letting it go here. Always smile during our Qigong practice because we're supporting our health and vitality. One Chinese master once told me that 5 minutes of smiling Qigong is better than an hour of frowning. So we want to make sure that we're always supporting ourselves. Creating that nice uplifting chi. Even though we're releasing right now, we want to make sure we're supporting the best possible movement of the energy. And let's do one more over here to the left and one more over to the right. And then let your arms come back to your sides. Bring your feet a little bit closer together. I'll show you another exercise that's good for release. This is good for the bones and sends vibration through the bones. So it's a simple one. You just lift and drop your heels. You're going to feel a resonance go through your bones. Just let it just bounce there. And everything else just relaxes. Just relaxing as much as you can. Relax your hands, relax your jaw, relax your head, relax your shoulders. And breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just imagine letting go of anything held deep in the body. And at the same time, we're strengthening the bones. The bones actually get stronger through vibration. It's a good way to strengthen your bones. You can add a few sighs if you need to, which really will help your heart. Just letting go. And if this is too much of a bounce for you, you can leave the heels on the ground and bounce with your knees a little bit. But otherwise, let's just shake it away. Good. And one more big breath in and let it go. All right, and pause. Good. You start to feel some vibration in your hands, feel some energy there. Let's step out back to our original posture that we started with. And we're going to work a little more superficially. We're going to work with the nerves, the fascia, and the skin, things that are closer to the outside of the body. So let's just shake those hands. Move that up to your elbows. Move that up to your shoulders. And now shake it down your body. It's called trembling horse. So we inhale as we go up through the joints of the arms to the shoulders. And we exhale as we shake down the body to your feet from head to toe. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up through the arms. Exhale down through the body. Just shaking away anything in the nerves. All that connective tissue that supports your organs, supports your body. Shaking that off. Anything here at the surface of the skin. Good. And one more time. Good. And just pause. Feel your hands buzzing. And your breath as you take some more deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Right. And then once again, bring your focus to your palms. Let's wash away. Let's gather energy from earth, nature, and the sky above, and anything that's ready to release that we've kind of shaken loose. Let's wash it down the front. Send that down into the earth. Inhale, gathering from our three beautiful sources and washing down the back. This is called pulling down the heavens. We wash away that tension. At the same time, you're taking these three sources and filling yourself up and supporting yourself as we go down through the crown of the head, through the throat and the chest, abdomen and pelvis, legs down through the feet, flushing down through the center of the body. So after we do a little bit of what we call the purging or cleansing exercises, then we want to start to build the energy up a little bit more. So we're going to do a few of those, just a few practice ones of those. So we'll start with our digestive organs. This is called the 5 Yang exercise. So whenever we're breathing, we're trying to build the energy, we want to breathe in a way that is only with the nose. So I'm going to invite you to place your tongue right there on the upper palate, right behind your upper front teeth. Close your mouth, and we're only going to breathe with the nose for these exercises. So bring your hands down, and let's take a breath in and bring your hands up to your shoulders. And then exhale, let them come back down to your hips. So you inhale and exhale. So as we move our arms, we're getting a sense of like we're going to get this sense of pumping energy into your abdominal area to help your digestive organs. So we breathe in to pull in that energy. And then as our hands come down, it compresses and gives a little spin. So just work with whatever intention you're getting today. Of course, this is quite a bit happening here, even though it's a very simple exercise. We'll get into a lot more detail in the course, but just today, just see what you can sense here. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in with the intention, doesn't even have to be visual, breathing in with the intention of filling your abdomen with golden light. And then we can let it relax a little bit or spin a little bit on the downward movement. Inhale, exhale. Getting this pumping action to fill the digestive organs with energy, with chi, with life force. And then we're downward movement is getting it activated. We're spinning it, getting it moving. Good digestion requires good flow. So we want to fill it with good chi and then activate it. And then fill it with good chi and activate it. Let's do a few more. Last couple. And let your hand come down, and just for a moment, let's see if you can do that with your mind. Breathe in and create that ball, and then imagine it just spinning there from the back down the front. Good. Getting some more support for the digestion. Now I want to show you we have 5 major organs of the body that we work with. So I'm going to show you a couple of them. We're going to work with the lungs to begin with. So bring your hands out in front. Point your fingers towards the screen. We're going to inhale and open the arms out to the side. And like to open the chest here. Turn the palms towards the ceiling. Exhale. Bring your hands together without touching. Lift them up. Turn them over, and let's inhale again. Exhale. Let's bring them back together. So a little bit of a rising up as we inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Breathing in, expanding the energy into the lungs, exhale. Opening that flow and bringing more vitality to the lungs to support better breathing and more oxygen in, more chi coming into the body. Nice big breath. We'll work a little bit more with breath in a moment, later on, I should say. But for now, let's just get a sense of how our breathing is. Let's see if we can fill and release in a nice full way. Good. One more time. And bring your hands close to you and drop them down by your sides. Take a couple more breaths. Just focus on the lungs just for a moment. Great. And then take a wider stance now. So your stance is wider than your shoulders. And we're going to do one more exercise, and this is going to be for the kidneys. So the kidneys are in the lower back, and they're considered your energetic batteries. So we want to give them a little charge here. So we're going to begin by taking the back of your left hand. Take the back of your left hand and place it right here on the lower back, right behind the right kidney. So not the palm, but the back of the hand, because that'll be easier on the shoulder. And bring your right hand up by your face. Now we're going to go out to the right. We're going to pretend like we're a giant water wheel. We're going to roll down the spine and gather some water like we're standing in a beautiful lake. And then roll up and let it wash across the face as we inhale. Exhale. Let's scoop up some more. Inhale. Now you get to decide how deep you want to go down. You can go all the way to the floor or a little bit higher if that's better for your legs and for your body. We're getting a sense of this rotation in the shoulder to gather this energy. So we'll scoop it up on the exhale. Breathe it in. Gather some more. And breathe in. And once again. Good. Let's do one last one. Inhale, creating this beautiful viaduct, or aqueduct in this case. It goes all the way down the arms, across the backs and shoulders, down here. That's why our hand is here. It's filling up that right kidney. So let's switch and do the same thing for the left kidney. So now the back of your right hand is on the lower back on the left side. Left arm is up, and we'll go out to the left and scoop up the water. Bring it in. Exhale. And inhale. Nice deep breathing in and out through the nose. Tongue on the upper palate. Rolling down. Coming across and rolling up. Gathering this water. Filling up the kidney. Smile as we charge up the batteries. 2 more. And final time. Good. All right. And then give your kidneys a little rub. Just take a moment just to rub them and feel some more vibration, more heat. Kidneys love to be warm. So a little rubbing there will help to bring some more warmth into your kidneys. Warm kidneys are happy kidneys. Good. So bring your hands to your navel for a moment. Continuing to breathe with your nose. Let's imagine all that we've worked with today to help the organs clear, but then also we filled up the digestive organs, help the lungs and the kidneys. And imagine all the excess that's not needed now coming down here as if there's a big bucket here. It's called the Danshen. And imagine that filling up. And as it fills up, it forms into a ball. And that ball is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, all the way down to the size of a pearl. See that pearl just dropping down to the perineum, to the pelvic floor. And now let's drop our hands, and now let's breathe in and pull that imaginary pearl up through all the vertebrae of your spine to the crown of the head. Down through the midline of the front. So we're going to guide it up the back, inhale. Over the head, down the front, exhale. Continuing to breathe with the nose, tongues on the upper palate, as we guide it through this orbit. It's called the microcosmic orbit. And we send this energy up the back and down the front. Bring more balance to the body. This is the final stage. After we fill up, we want to balance everything out. So this is one of our balancing exercises. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale up the spine. Exhale down the front. And inhale. Exhale, bring that energy into the lower dantian. Let your feet come closer together. A few deep breaths here. Letting it all settle. And then rub the belly. Let's do a few rotations in one direction to lock it in and a few more in the opposite. Good. And then rub your hands and generate a little bit of heat. Bring them up to your eyes. And imagine the heat from your hands going in through your eyes, optic nerves, all the way into your brain. And as you exhale, let it flow down the spine to the lower dantian once again. One more breath. Good. A little wash of the face coming from the chin of the forehead and then down over the ears. You can do it on the body or off. Good. A little tap of your forehead. Tap of the crown of the head, side of the head, back of the head, back of the neck. Let's send our energy a little deeper. Start at the shoulder on one side. Let's tap down the palm. And then come up the back side. Lower the chest to the other shoulder. Let's tap down that arm to the palm. And then come up the back side of that arm. Go into your underarm. Tap all those lymph nodes that are there. Do the same thing on the other side. Say hello to those heart and lungs down the side of the body. Say hello to those digestive organs again. And now do a little tap going up your right side. I'll look backwards on the video, so make sure you go up the right side and down the left. Up the right, down the left. One more time. And then tap beneath the navel. Tap around the waist again and say hello to those kidneys one more time. And then tap down the legs from the buttocks, down the outside of the legs to wherever you can reach. And then back up the inside. Tapping right here, we call leg gates right here at the pelvis. And then we'll stimulate right beneath the navel, a wonderful point called Sea of Qi. All right, just take a moment just to feel your energy. Energy moving, vibrating through the body. Great, a little introduction into Qigong for those that are new. Great, let's take all that and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. So this is an important part of what we do. And some people have the impression with Qigong or even medical Qigong that it's just this, that it is this. But this is our method for, of course, self-healing, making your energy strong and vital, and healing yourself, building up your Qi and vitality. And it's also, as you learn this, then you're able to prescribe it for people that you work with. So it becomes also prescriptions. So it's really important. It's a foundation of what we do. So we would call it rest. We have the movement aspect of Qigong, which is actually called postural Qigong. So it has a lot of it. So and through the year, you start to learn different parts, right? So, so John teaches this, which was all part of it's called the Taoist 5 Qigong set. And then you'll learn self-massage Qigong. So like a Dao Yin self-massage. And then we learn the Wudong series.
Qigong series, yeah.
Which are standalone, which are more for giving out as prescriptions. And all sorts of other amazing things like healing sounds, which also has has a postural aspect to it. So there's all of this. And
organ massages for all the different organs.
Yeah.
Get lots of good stuff.
It's all great stuff. And, lots of practice. And the class always, when you take the class, you get recordings of all the sessions. So you have them to work with later. And and plus handouts that describe this in detail. And plus, after the first level 1, it's required to get the books. So when you get the books, you also then get incredible detail on everything that we do. So that's just the postural, but we also have respiratory. These are called the Dao-Yin. So we have postural Dao-Yin, we have respiratory Dao-Yin, which we'll do a little later. John's going to lead you through some breath practice. So that's considered very powerful. And it's also, even the sounds are part of breath practice because breath makes sounds. And then we have the mental Dao-Yin, which is all the emotional, the spiritual aspects. So that's much more the meditation. So those are just the Dao-Yins. And the Dao-Yins are about working on yourself. So we have those aspects. I'm about to teach the Master's Seminar 10, which is just focuses very much on the Dao-Yins. And that's all, that's all very interesting to learn these things. So we have these different ways of working on ourselves. And the first seminar is very much about self-healing. So, but then we get into healing others and all the magic around that. So, but this is foundational. So heal or heal thyself. Important for us to have that inner healing and outer healing, like physical, at all levels. So the respiratory Dao-Yin, I mean, that's here. The postural is about the lower Dantian, physical. This is energetic because the breath, like John said, with the lungs, like build your chi. And then the upper Dantian, the mental, is the upper Dantian, the spiritual aspect. So we're always kind of working and balancing all of these things. Anything else you'd like to say about it, John?
No, you're doing really great. So just basically that, and we'll get into more about what each of the seminars, we're going to go through we have a nice PowerPoint for you about the course itself. But that first seminar is really a big part of what a lot of some of this stuff we've been talking about already is introducing it all and creating that foundation for yourself. So, and then we get into some more of the magic in the second seminar and a lot of meditations. So we'll be talking about the details in a moment.
Right. Yeah, we will be. Yeah. Anything else before we kind of move on to that, John?
No, I think it'd be good to give them a little taste of the course with a little lecture now.
Okay, a little mini class now.
Welcome to class, everyone.
And it's really a mini class of, so we have, total of 8 5-day seminars. So what does that multiply out to? 40? No. Yeah.
40 days, yeah.
40 days. So it'll be 40 days. So there's a lot of time. Yeah, but there's so much to learn. I mean, there's so much depth in this work. Okay.
And one of the best things about the fact that they're recorded, this is one of the real good advantages of the online. I mean, we recorded them when they were in person too, but when they're online, you have this ability. It's not about, because there's so much, it's quite a dense course, that you have the ability to go back and look at it, because it's a lot of information. So that way you can take in what you can during the live classes, and then always have a chance to review. And of course, there are books, beautiful books that you can use as resource materials as well.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. Pull it up and then play. There we go. Okay, so Shamanic Chinese medicine and medical Qigong training. So, why is it called that? Well, because it comes from, this ancient shamanic source. So shamanism in China is prehistoric, but it also persists until today. So there's still shamanism in China, both mainland China and in Taiwan. There are temples devoted to shamanism. They are some of them are more male, female oriented. The originals, as we see down here, will be more the feminine. That was the ancient Wu. So the roots go back over 5,000 years, and then really the roots are prehistoric in Chinese medicine, and then the origins being in the shamanism. So Taoism and all the Taoist concepts, which could also be spelled Tao, so just how you prefer to spell it there, concepts are based on the wisdom of the ancient Wu and the Wu Yi shamans. So the Wu literally meant the one who connected heaven and earth. And the ancient symbol for that is actually shows two women dancing around like a tree that's got roots in the earth and branches in the sky. And so that was the origin, is this is sort of channeling through you, or through the Wu channeled heaven and earth. And so we look at that, when you can channel heaven and earth, when the flows of heaven and earth move through you, that actually brings you perfect health. It means that your meridians are all open. And so you could define health that way, of being this perfect channel of the energies, the great forces of heaven and earth, the great flows of yin and yang. And so this is a real basis and foundation for everything that we do. So we really come from, this ancient attitude. The deep understanding of reality developed organically from not experiencing oneself as separate from all of life. So really, it came from being a part of life. We live in a world where we've all become, it's very easy to be divorced from that. And so we work towards that, and to bring our people that we work with, our clients, towards that as well. The ancients understood that we are one and inseparable from all of existence. And so there's this sense of oneness, that we are not separate, that we are part of everything. Everything is woven together, no separate causes. Everything is the cause of everything, which is actually a very Buddhist concept, but really it's also a very Taoist concept, because the Tao is considered to be all that is. And so therefore, there's nothing outside of the Tao. And we are both the microcosm and the macrocosm. And John had you working as you did one of the exercises at the end there this morning, the
gong, stroke, speared.
Yes. That was moving the energy through the macrocosmic orbit. Yeah, gong exercise. So that's moving a small, you being the small microcosm. And when you do that practice, you are mirroring the macrocosm, which is the everything. And so that is the mystery of life and the destiny of every soul to embody. So to embody that macrocosm. So there is nothing that exists outside the Tao, not the smallest particle or your innermost thoughts. So we are all at one. And so these are not things to be believed. We work on this to become an experience. And so we don't ask, so it sounds like, okay, there's a bunch of concepts here that you have to get behind. No, it's not at all like that. We say these are the concepts, but now we want you to experience this through the work that we do, to pay attention in certain ways, to just to bring that experience into your reality. And of course, there on the right is a picture or a rendition of Lao Tzu. And so Lao Tzu is one of the great masters of the Tao. And of course, the author of the Tao Te Ching, which has been a very popular book for thousands of years. Qigong and Shamanic Chinese medicine are based on the wholeness of the Tao. And so we we approach our medicine in this, you could say body, mind, spirit way. And we take all of those aspects and we're really working them and really synthesizing it all together. We work with the emotions and we work with the thought forms that cause the emotions. And we work with the precipitation of that into the body. And we work beyond that into the spiritual influences that, that are even, deeper than that. So we like to go very deep. So this is a program to become ultimately a master, so a Qigong master. And so to be a Qigong master, one needs to come from this kind of a place of wholeness and experiencing that. To master this form of energy healing is to follow the Tao, the path of spiritual unfoldment. So the great thing about the Tao is that it's always not about a belief system. It's about experience. And it can include anything. And so, that doesn't matter. I mean, it's interesting. There are masters, there are Qigong masters out there who are Buddhist, there are Taoist, there are Christian, and I believe that there's also Hindu and Muslim. So all of the religions also have Qigong masters. Those things they're not in conflict with each other. This is just a path. It's a way to experience through the spiritual depth of your being. And so to master this path, we need to understand the three realms: physical, energetic, and spiritual. And become familiar with that. We work with that, I said, in the physical. So even in the exercises that you were doing this morning, you can have an experience of, it's a physical exercise, but there's also energy movement during that exercise. And as John was encouraging you to do, the spiritual, to be able to connect into the actual flows of heaven and earth, and have them move through you. And so it's very expansive. And so we can look at that. Well, that's the physical aspect, but all the aspects, whether it's the healing, whether it's the meditation, influences the whole. So we see them all as connected and working synergistically. So Shamanic Chinese medicine is the study of the Tao, which is the all that is. Everything has the same core energy. And we'll talk about that. It's an Einstein quote. So why would you want to study Qigong healing? So Qigong is the most powerful approach to understanding life force energy. And so it's wonderful. It's been an art form, a healing form, a path that has been developing throughout, the whole history of humanity, and an unbroken line coming right from the most ancient times. And I think we're very, very lucky to have this. And it's been the Chinese medicine that in China, it was very much developed to a very, very, to a really great level. And I think that around the world that there are other places where this has been developed, but this is the most accessible, and it just has a lot of literature, and let's see, what else would I say about it? So it's understandable. So it comes in a way that, because it doesn't have a lot of belief systems around it, you don't have to believe something, it becomes experiential. And, it's amazing how quickly all of this starts to become your experience. Like, of course, I can send energy there and change the color of the energy and, ask the energy to do different things. It just becomes a matter of course with the course.
I just want to stress that point too, for everybody, that the course is really about the experiential. when we did this work, when I started this work, I was, and I love Wendy and I used to both say the same thing. We're kind of the Helen Keller of energy work. We couldn't see it, we couldn't feel it, we couldn't touch it, it just wasn't happening. So we want to stress how the more that you learn about this, the more you get to do this and break down those belief systems that you can't, and you start to realize, wait a minute, I can. You start to realize how powerful you really are as a being, and all of that starts to really come through this course. And you won't probably recognize yourself at the end of the course, the things you can do.
Yes, that's absolutely the case. Yeah, it's very transformational. It's a very transformational year. Yeah, and you will do things because these are all things that are innate to us.
Yeah.
We were born. It's like we had a credible amount of powers that we've never been taught about. We somehow got sidetracked into the power of thinking when we have all sorts of other powers. So it's you see, like, oh, it doesn't take forever. Like there's one class where you learn invisible needles, then you learn how to send hot and cold chi, which now sounds like, really, but it's actually, and it's powerful. And you put one of those invisible needles in, and somebody jerks their foot, and you just kind of go, oh yeah, of course they would. Of course they jerked their foot. It was a needle going in. Okay, so through practice, we can develop awareness of the movement of energy both inside and outside of the body. So we do start with this interior focus of what's inside of us. And then we strengthen our immune system. And that goes right along with being able to move the energy, or awareness of the movement of energy, or moving that energy. And so when that energy is moving, and if you know much about Chinese medicine, you know that stagnation is blockages are really the causes of disease and bad health. So and so the movement of energy strengthens our immune system and improves organ function. And the exercise that John was showing you are some of the ones that do this. And so we learn how to heal and energize ourselves. And that's our first seminar, parts A and B. And then you start using this to heal others. And it's amazing how quickly this can happen. How do we do this? We use breathing techniques, movement, creative visualization, and our spiritual intent. So the breathing techniques and foundational. Stop breathing in the chest. Not stop breathing in the chest, but learn how to breathe deeply into the abdomen, letting go of stress. That's one of the first things that we can focus on. And we're going to do some breathing today. So breathing, very important. Movement. So the very specific movements of the Qigong practices. Creative visualization. And so it's like when John was leading you, you're guiding the energy, the breath up the spine, down the front of the body, or you were scooping that energy, that water up and having it flow down through your arms. So that's a creative visualization. But that, even if you're like John and I and not especially visual, there's a spiritual intent that starts that off. And as you practice that, you start to become more visual. You start to get messages in different ways. We can improve our health, personal power, and learn to live in harmony with the universe. And so by the end of the course, you have improved the first year, your health. You developed amazing personal power that you know that you have. And you're also finding yourself more in harmony with all of life and sort of a deeper understanding of that connection, which is really across the board, even people who've already done a lot of work on themselves. And I even have people, take this course who are already trained as shamans, who just love this, and how much they learn, and how really it's a real wholeness in this course. We talk about the medicine wheels. And so it's really, this is the ancient medicine wheel. When we look at the elements, the 5 elements of the wheel, and also just there's a 5 element wheel, but we also work with the yin and the yang, which is more, really comes before that. So it's a study of the great wisdom gathered for medical, martial, and spiritual development by the culture of ancient China. And so it was developed in many different ways and into all these different areas. And if you look at, the Shaolin monks, for example, so they came in with Buddhism, which would have been more like maybe 1500 years ago. And they have, martial development. They develop very strong martial skills on top of the spiritual development. And then it has become very integrated, the martial and the spiritual together. And some of the practices that we learn and do are coming from the Buddhist, and some of them are coming from the Taoist. So the work that we do has a very broad foundation and background. And it's also, of course, the foundation of Chinese medicine. And Chinese medicine, hold on for that. Okay, I think we'll get in there. Shamanic Chinese medicine uses special techniques to purge, tonify, and balance the energy. Just like John said this morning, when you do your own practice, we also purge. You start off with purging exercises, then you did tonification exercises with the lungs and the kidneys, and then you did balancing energies. So that was at the end when you're doing the Guanggang strokes beard, that's balancing the energies, or regulating the energies is another way that we say that. And this is a safe and effective way to release toxic pathogens and trapped emotions and other negative influences that cause both physical, mental, and emotional illness. So we're working on, again, releasing blockages and things that are stuck. So if you can think of something in your life that upsets you, that's in the past, that means that energy is still sitting inside of you and it's causing a blockage somewhere in your body. So it's like, oh, I hate to think about that time when blah, blah, blah. So if you hate that because you feel something, those feelings are trapped emotions. And so we generally have a lot of trapped emotions, and these are very negative influences in the body on your physical, mental, and emotional state. And also it can even keep the spirit from really residing in the body. The spirit can be, disembodied. So a person would be called, ungrounded, or you could just say that person was kind of out of it because they're not living in their heart. Their spirit's not at home inside of the body. And that's a big issue with so many people, but that's caused by these old emotional energies sitting inside the body. So a lot of the work that we do is to release them from ourselves, and then to help other people release these toxic old emotional energies. When we work, we always work with the 3 worlds: the physical level, physical world; energetic level, energetic world; and spiritual level and spiritual world. Our approach to healing, we always consider and work with all 3 worlds. Physical manifestation of illness is considered to be the turbid fruit of a diseased plant. And our work is to find out and heal the root causes of disease. And so we're not as interested in what's manifesting, but if there's acute things that are manifesting, we also want to work with the acute phases of illness, but we're also, chronic illness is something that the work we do is also really good for. So it's good for acute, but it's also good for chronic. The energetic plane is both the emotional and mental realm, or at least it's the lower mental realm, it's the lower thoughts. And is seen as being directly causal to the physical level of manifested illness. We place a great emphasis on working to understand and release stagnant emotions and beliefs, the beliefs that trap those emotions. Spiritual plane has always been considered to be the causal plane. And this means that when you're doing healing work, the root cause is considered to be the spiritual plane. And when healing is done on the physical or energetic level, we've released the symptoms, but issues can remanifest. So we want to go deep, and that's why we have intuitive work. So you consider yourself with this practice become a Chinese medicine intuitive, because part of this is a lot of spiritual development in order to read a person's physical body, their energetic body, and their spiritual body. So that's a big piece that we do. So in this training, you'll learn to heal and transform yourself while you learn to heal and transform others. That was a class back when we were in person. Having a little clinic going on there. Okay. So other things you want to add to that, John? Let's take it off the screen share, because I have some other things I want to talk about with it.
No, I just wanted to really stress that as you started to get a sense of the different levels of work that we'll be working with, which makes it very unique to this course. We're not going to be working necessarily just with their physical symptoms, which you would think like a medical course is like, oh, I've got a headache. Well, let's just work with that. No, we want to let's find out what's going on behind that. So we work a lot with the energy, with the backstory, with well, not story so much, but the information that's there, and start to notice where that's being held in the body. And it becomes quite profound that of what we can do that we didn't know we could do to sense, oh, I'm feeling something over here, and there's connection. You ask the person and they start to say, well, yeah, I do feel something there. And so the healing becomes deeper. Chinese medicine, we always say true healing doesn't happen unless you heal the physical, energetic, and spiritual. All three levels have to be healed for true healing to happen. So unless we're getting all three, you may, for example, you could cut out the cancer with the surgery, but if you haven't healed the emotions that cause the cancer or the thought forms that cause the cancer, there's a chance that it could come back. So we are always working with supporting all of that, so it's a true full healing as much as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And final thing, always in their highest good. So that's the other thing. We learn not to get stuck on the outcome, what we think the outcome should be. That's a big part, to let go and trust that the work is done in the divine, in the highest good of the individual. And that can be many things that are not necessarily what we think they are.
Yeah. And we also put a great emphasis on safety. So one of the first things that we're learning is, the self-embodiment and the working of the energies and the flows of energy. And you don't even start. We set the energy, we set the space very powerfully, especially in the beginning. We take time each time before you do any work to really set the space to make it extremely safe for not just you, but for the person that you're working with. So it's a very big piece of our work, is how we do this, how we create these energy fields, creating energy fields of protection for yourself, for the person you work with. And we also open the energy fields and we close them at the energy field at the end in a very specific way and very conscious way, spiritual way.
And that was one of the main things that actually drew me to this work. Be perfectly honest, that was one of the things, because it was done with this idea of safety and support for not only the client, but also for myself, so that we can work together in a way that is honoring the overall healing of them. This setup, and you'll learn more about that. We do a meditation, and it's called the 3 invocations, and we'll get deeper into that, but just set the space and set the energies in a way that makes it much different than other types of energy healing, because there's a whole process involved to create this container for this healing to happen.
Yeah, and people even have experiences just being in that container of starting to notice that the energy that just shifted around them and things are happening and moving. So
before you even start, yeah.
Yeah, before you even start. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to have some time later for question and answers about this. So the people who go through this class, so I started to talk about the shamanic. So we call it shamanic Chinese medicine. If you want to have, like, for it to be the shamanic, then you'll do something also called channeling. And there's a channeling course coming up this coming week. There's also another one in January. So there's opportunities to learn the channeling. And we kind of emphasize this because there's a need to connect with the other side and the other worlds. And this is a huge aspect of the learning, because it's not, as John said, it's not just physical. You're not just building up your energy and projecting energy. You need to be able to understand and to master physical, energetic, and spiritual worlds, and to be able to have those kind of connections. And just like John and I were like the Helen Kellers of the psychic worlds. So yeah, but eventually we learned it, and it just makes such a huge difference to what you can offer people. Just to be able, again, there's symptomology, and then there's root causes.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when we had the whole pandemic going on, we were working, a lot of us volunteered, and we're working with people at a distance who had COVID. And, we were able to work really well with those people, and even had people come off respirators who weren't supposed to get off respirators. And I say the only person that didn't survive I turned out that they had already passed away before, or even, we were given their name to work on. So that's an example of something that's very acute. So we can do really good work. I said something recently that was very acute. Oh yeah, head injury. Yeah. And the person came out of, they didn't think that person, they were going to unplug. Anyway, the person came out of the coma. Anyway, so we can work on acute, and at the same time, we can work on things that are much more long-term and chronic. So it's a wonderful form of medicine, and people have very profound experiences. I don't know if anybody was here who was actually at our clinic, because at the end of the year we do have a clinic, and it's so exciting. People think, oh, do I really need to do this clinic? And then it's like, that was the best thing ever. It is real across the board. Like, that was fantastic, because you work with someone who's at a higher level, who previously graduated, and you're paired up with someone, and then you work in partnership with them. And you work on people and you give sessions and you do energy readings, like you read them at their 3 levels, physical, emotional, spiritual, all these things that you're able to do and apply. And, people have amazing responses.
Mhm.
And so it's sort of often for people where the rubber hits the road. It's like, wow, I did this in the clinic. Look at all those people I worked on and the great responses that I got. I really feel like I can go out and offer this.
So Wendy, why don't you tell a little bit about your history so they know a little bit more about you and how you came into this work?
Okay, thank you. So let's see. Well, I started teaching Qigong. I went into a retreat myself to work on my own health. And I was living on a place called Reed Island on the coast of British Columbia, where there's off the grid and all that stuff. And I had friends who had a very, kind of a rustic retreat center on the other side of the island. And I got to know them, and they practiced Qigong, but I was thinking I was going to go, maybe I'd go to India. I had this opportunity to do a spiritual retreat. And they said, well, let's come over here and let's just spend the winter. Let's do an 8-month retreat and we'll just practice every day. That's what we'll do. So we set that up to do, about 12 hours a day of practice, which is a fairly intense 8 months. So I changed my life. My kids were younger. That I just broken up with my husband. The kids were staying with him, and every month I would come out for a month, which meant, every month I would come out for a week, which meant that I had to be on top of my practice. So I had to continue that. So my practice wasn't just there. It was really good because I think it integrated me coming back to be able to continue my practice and keep up a lot of the work. So that was transformational. I went from having a lot of lung issues, asthma. I had pneumonia, very scarred up lungs. I'd completely healed that, like totally healed that. It took me a long time. There's something called the microcosmic orbit again. And back then, I think it took me about the first 2 months practicing this really a lot to build up enough chi so that I was able to get the microcosmic orbit going. And so that was a huge milestone for me. And I just started to, for the first time, probably in my life, because I definitely was someone who earaches at birth. So if you know anything about Chinese medicine, I didn't have a great chi field. I didn't have a great constitution. So I really built up constitutional energy and went from, and I'm sure it would have been called chronic fatigue, but there was no such thing at the time. So I would have started with chronic fatigue and, kind of came out of it as Superwoman. And I started teaching. I went to New York and got teacher, because they practiced Mantak Chia's work. And so I went and got teaching credentials and with him and started teaching. And we'd work so much on rooting. And one of the things that I did is that was giving talks at these places. It was like so unheard of. No one knew what the Qigong was. Like, what is that? Because this was 1989. So I started teaching classes in 89. So that was a while ago, 30 something years ago. And it was so unknown. I went somewhere and I was advertising, and it was Taoist healing, and they put it in the paper. They thought it was an error. So they put it in as toe healing.
I didn't know that.
I thought these people wanted toe healing.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, no, that was really funny. Yeah, actually, I think it might have been Kelowna.
Did anybody come to the toe healing?
Yeah, everyone wanted toe healing. I was like, wow, if I had toe healing, I could have had, nobody wanted toe healing. They all wanted toe healing. That was probably about 89 or 90 or something.
Oh.
Yeah, might be a path, become a great toe healer. And these stories too about their toes. It was like the weirdest thing. And it was before, of course, that was before the internet. And so I think people were writing back letters to me about this or phoning. I guess I had my phone number in the going on. Anyway, so I taught that for quite a while. I was also working with the acupressure and graduated from the Acupressure Institute here where I live now in California. So I had acupressure training, but I always wanted to somehow be able to, the Qigong that I was teaching was very powerful, and I was giving, seminars in it, and I loved it. And then I found out about 10 years, no, less than that, I think it was 97 maybe that I found out about the medical Qigong. And I knew it was one of those things in my heart. As soon as I heard that term medical Qigong, it's like, I have to go explore this. And I just felt a door inside of me open, something opened up and said, come this way. And so then I studied with Dr. Johnson, who really has who's really brought this to the West. So I began studying with him. He didn't have books. There were no books at the time. We didn't know what the curriculum was. And we just we were a group, we were in his garage at his house, and, we would all sleep in his house. The women slept in the house, in the living room, or in his treatment room. We put, our sleeping gear up, and the guys slept out in the garage, which was also the dojo and the teaching room. It wasn't a big garage either. Probably the size of the room that I have here. Anyway, all these people are in there, and you're learning from him, and he's really amazing, and you're gathering that information, and so that was great. And I learned that, and I thought, okay, well, I'm still teaching what I already know what I'm teaching, and this is now going to be a great way to work with people. And I had no intention of ever teaching this. I thought, this is so big, this is so much. I loved it, but it was just this huge body of work, and there's no way I'm going to teach it. So I said to the universe, unless you have someone come to my door who already has a class ready and waiting for me, and they have to come and knock on my door, I'm not going to teach this. And so, of course, a couple of years after saying that, someone came and knocked on my door and asked, are you Wendy Lang? I have this class of people who want to learn medical Qigong, and the person who was going to teach it can't teach it. And we were wondering if you could teach it, because my name was in the original big old volume that he printed, and he made me one of the directors, local directors. Anyway, so that's how I started teaching. And I was like, okay, I was very specific with the universe. I really can't get out of it. Because when they knocked, I knew I'd said knocked on my door. It's like, they have to come knocking. And she came knocking on my door. So, and she was a great student, and she's still a great friend. So it was pretty fun, pretty funny. And so, of course, like, okay, I guess I'm teaching all this. So that led to teaching, and I've been teaching it literally ever since, and expanding it into all the levels, the master's level, the doctoral level. Just, it's been a thing I do, expanding it into teaching the channeling and the mediumship, which I taught with my late partner, Philip. So we did the channeling together, but I really developed the mediumship part of it. And anyway, on and on. That's how I got here. And and it's been an amazing experience. And I love working with people. So even though I've done this for a long time, I learn every time. I learn from teaching. You learn when you teach. And then every session that I give, everyone is unique. Everyone's beautiful. And I just love so much working with people. And so it's just been a huge gift. Talk about doing what you love. So It's wonderful. How about you, John?
I haven't been doing as long as Wendy, because I took my course with Wendy. So I've had the experience that hopefully you'll have a chance to have. But I had lots of health issues too, as it doesn't necessarily mean the reason you have to come in, but that just happened to be our reasons. I had some of the worst digestive issues And it was fascinating because I always joke because I could drink a glass of water and get heartburn. And I went, that doesn't make any sense. That should be solving the heartburn, not making it worse. And it was just, was on antacids from my doctor. I had scopes done. I did all these kind of things. They were looking to find out what was going on. And I was trying everything. And a mutual friend of ours, who actually Wendy referred to, but didn't mention, her name is Minka DeVos. And Minka is a lovely soul who we were working together on a different event. And she gave me these flyers and said, would you hand these out to people? Because we have a new medical Qigong course starting soon. And I've learned to trust this inner voice. I wasn't always trusting it, but I've learned to trust that over time, because as soon as I touched the papers, it was like Wendy said, it went, me. Oh my gosh, this is totally me. And I have a background in movement, and I am a movement therapist, expressive art therapist, and but I felt like there was something not there. So this kind of helped me take it in, and I did that 5 Yang exercise, the one we did today, going up and down with our hands. I did that every day for 2 weeks, 100, 200 times a day, and then a couple times a day because it was so bad. And I started to notice things happening after a week, and after 2 weeks, I noticed I didn't have any issues anymore. I completely healed myself from that, and I haven't had any major problems with my digestion since then. And this was about 14 years ago, maybe. And so I took the course with Wendy and started to learn. And then I took the first seminar, and I was teaching classes by this after that first seminar, because I was so excited that I wanted to share this with other people. It was just all my friends. I just, come over, we got to do this exercise thing. But I was just so excited about it that I wanted to do that. And I've been doing that and taking all the other things that Wendy mentioned, the channeling and the mediumship, and growing even more, and realizing that I had more power within me than I knew, that there was some bigger energies flowing around that were beyond this just physical stuff here. And then about after all of that, I've been honored to teach with Wendy this course this will be our 5th year together teaching it. And it's been really lovely because we know how to kind of balance off each other and support each other. And it's been, and I feel very honored to be able to support her on this practice and helping all of you become the next group of practitioners out there, supporting yourself and others. So that's kind of my story.
Yeah. Yes. And we also sometimes have some practitioners come in here, but we don't have one this time. But they have great stories too about their experience. And one of the things that they often refer to this as is like, I feel like I went to Hogwarts. I learned the magic. I always wanted to learn the magic. And, and so this is the place you come to learn the magic.
Mm-hmm.
It seriously is. By the end of the year, you're doing the magic. So,
and that's what's the difference between medical Qigong and this is why Wendy brought in all this shamanic part, because that's the magic, the shamanic, the beauty of all of that stuff from the Wu, and that whole lineage, where it's not that the putting a needle in someone and an acupuncturist is wonderful, but when you can put energy in that needle to send it in, that just transforms the whole practice. And that's why we've had lots of people that are acupuncturists or became acupuncturists after taking this course that are able to do some amazing work with the needles that are beyond just going, okay, I'm going to put it in these points because that's what I was told to put it. It becomes a much bigger and more powerful practice for people.
Yeah, it puts the intuitive in. And people who are acupuncturists usually say, this was the magic that I was looking for when I first learned Chinese medicine. And and then here it is. Or the people
Right.
who are like, wow, I've got all this. Now I actually want to be able to go to the school and get the credentials to be able to do this. And there are some wonderful, very famous acupuncturists who say, this needs to be there to be a real acupuncturist. You need to be able to do this kind of work, this energy work.
Mhm.
Even last year, I think we had two people from last year's course who have now chosen to continue they were so excited about this, so they're working into Chinese medicine. So it's along with people who've done the acupuncture, we have them often whose side, like this, I feel like this is where I want to go with my life, especially the younger crowd.
But the nice thing too is it doesn't matter what you're coming in with. My background is I was a banker for 13 years. That has nothing to do with any of this. I also was a waiter for 10 years. I mean, I've done some work that doesn't seem related at all, but I still use some of those concepts, even in, of course, my therapy and stuff. But my financial background really helps me run this business that I have for my practice. So everything can kind of come in and supports what you're doing. So just to know that whatever gifts you have now, whatever things you're working with, fit in this container, and this just helps to expand it for you.
Yeah. So we've had people take this everywhere from their early 20s to their late 70s.
Yep.
And so there's not like a right time to or right age to do this. Everybody gets so much out of the whole thing. And yeah, people coming in with different backgrounds, can be massage therapy, chiropractors, doctors, let's see, psychologists. I mean, there's just a big list. Builders, like contractors.
Yeah, we have people, construction guys. Guy was a bouncer last year.
That's right. Yeah, he was great too. So yeah, so whatever you have, you are coming into this with your experience. And so you come in unique, and what you get out of this and how you apply it is also unique.
Exactly.
And you'll find that you have the strengths and the weaknesses that are really particular to you. Like, this is my gift. And you say like, oh, I really want to go down and pursue it in this direction. Like, we had someone who's just so now into guided journeys with people. But it's not just like as if you did just hypnotherapy and started to do guided journeys, because this gives you an incredible background into understanding sort of what's going on in this other, I can't even almost describe it, but you apply 5 elements to things and you start to understand, the interweaving of the energy fields, and all the physical, the energetic, emotional, mental levels. You start to see all of these interplays. Yeah, I mean, my mind just goes to these people where you see this and you're seeing it, you're getting this whole thing in a very different way than anyone else would get it, because you've got this piece. And so anyway, so people pursue it and could be in that direction. John really pursued it initially in the teaching direction, wanting to teach classes. So there's many different directions. Some people never want to.
Other people want to do just healing sessions for people.
Yeah.
Some people want to just do channeling for people. I mean, there's lots of. Some people want to clear houses.
There's that too.
Yeah.
This all ties in together. The spirit work. Yeah. And like the mediumship work, people, someone has, often illness can be caused by loss. Mm-hmm. So someone has had a profound loss, and, you work on their lungs, you work on the grief, you're trying to help them get better. There's nothing like being able to have, their loved one show up beside you and say, hey, I want to talk to them and send a message to them. So that's also part of the healing. So the great thing about Qigong is that it takes in this huge aspect of Chinese medicine, which is the energetics and the spiritual. And so Chinese medicine has these branches. It has herbal branch, which is amazing. I love the herbal stuff. And we don't teach. So we're not teaching herbology. These are things you can get at the schools. So we don't teach herbology, although we do some really cool thing with herbs in the third seminar, like super cool. People who love herbology love what we do, but it's completely different from learning herbology. We do the herbs, we do the acupuncture. The branches are herbology, acupuncture, and then there's the gua sha, the needles, gua sha, cupping, and all those things. And then we have bone setting. And then we have us, which is the Qigong. So those are like the 5 branches of Chinese medicine. And so we have to take in the psychology, we take in the physical therapy or physiotherapy aspect of it. Let's see, what else do we do? Yeah, we teach people to breathe, all the self-healing stuff, that whole scope. And then we do like the exorcism part, the clearing your house part, clearing your space part, the emotional clearing. So this is really big aspect of Chinese medicine is actually all in our court. So it's a lot and it isn't, because we tap into the intuitive rather than having to be so focused on rote learning. Like you got to memorize, like with these. Do you have a book right there, John?
Yes.
I got some minor back here in my shelf. Yes, Chinese energetic medicine. That's one of them.
One of 5.
5.
You're not going to learn all that in 1 year. Don't worry.
Well, you're not going to memorize it ever.
I still haven't learned it all.
Yeah, it's not that, but it's great. It's like having a whole encyclopedia of Chinese medicine. And it has all of our recipes, which are amazing for the healing protocols. So, yeah. Okay. So what do you think, John? Should we have a little 5-minute break?
I say a little 5-minute break for everyone. Yeah, water in, water out kind of break, just for 5 minutes. And so what time is it now? 24 after. Right at the bottom of the hour, just to make it even.
Yeah, let's just come back
at the bottom of the hour. Wherever you are, whatever time that is.
Hour
on the West Coast.
Yeah, for us, it's going to be 10:30.
Yeah. So we'll see you all in about 5 minutes and we'll do a little bit more practice. We'll do some breathing practice.
Okay, great.
Wendy, if you want to pause for this 5 minutes, you can.
John.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a little respiratory Dao Yin with John.
Yeah, let's practice some good deep breathing. So before we start, let me just say a few things about it. In the world right now, many people, including perhaps many of you, if that's the case, breathe a lot in the chest. And so in other words, the muscle that's down here, the diaphragm, is not working as well as it should. So we have a muscle that's right here that separates your chest cavity from your abdominal cavity, and it goes all the way around. It's 360 degrees. And we want to make sure that muscle is working in all directions. But if you have a lot of tension in your life, you may keep your breath up here because you don't want to go down there because it requires feeling and it gets motions moving and it creates some more flow. So it might be more of a shallow breath because that's the breath when we're in fight or flight. That's the breath we do have because we need to keep the mind sharp to know what's going on. So but normally for most of the day, we want to make sure we're full body breathing. We want to bring in more vitality all the way down and help all the organs here and help the rest of the body. Let it go out to the extremities. So we're going to do a little practice with that and get a sense of that now. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to, once again, to find a place you'd like to stand, and we'll do our practice again. Okay. So once again, just take a moment and just feel your feet. Let them be about shoulder width apart. Let your knees bend so you're not locking the knees. And then just bring your hands to your navel. And let's take some deep breaths. We're going to only breathe with the nose now. So let your tongue go on the upper palate. Close the mouth.
And just breathe here. And by the way, no judgment. We're just checking this out right now. We'll get more practice as we do the course. But right now, we just want to see, how are we breathing? And as you breathe in and out through your nose, see if you can feel some movement. Are your hands moving? Are they moving out? Is the abdomen expanding on the inhale? And is it collapsing on the exhale? Just get a sense of that. It might not be a big movement, it might be a small movement, or it could be, if you're really used to deep breathing, you might notice it moves quite a bit. Good. Let's just check out the side part of the body. So the side part of this diaphragm. So place your hands at the waist now, push them in, and use your breath to push them out. See if you can push them out. And then they collapse back in on the exhale. So inhale, you use your breath. See if you can push your hands out to the left and the right. Let's just get a sense of that. Good. All right, and now let's try right here at the lower back. So just place your hands on the lower back. Now, if this is awkward for your shoulders, use the backs of the hands. Or if that's even too awkward, you may want to just bring your thumbs around and push your thumbs towards the kidneys. So work with whatever one works best for you. I'm going to use my palms and place them on the lower back. And we're going to do a little movement with the pelvis to help accentuate this a little bit. So let's take a breath in and drop your tailbone down. That will help to push your lower back out. See if you can breathe into your lower back. We're going to open up the back part of the diaphragm, or at least see how it is right now. We'll do a little practice in a moment to kind of loosen all that muscle up a little bit more. But right now, let's just drop the tailbone on the inhale and see if you can feel your kidneys expand. This one's usually the most challenging for people. So right now, we're just getting a sense of it. Can I feel some expansion? There's many ways to practice this. And if you're having a really hard time with breath into the kidneys, it's a great way to do it is when you're lying down. You can lie on a yoga mat, or in your bed, or on a couch, and just see if you can breathe into the mattress or breathe into the mat. And get a sense of breathing down so gravity is kind of working with you. All right, a couple more of those. So drop the tailbone on the inhale. And then let it just roll back into position on the exhale. Good. All right, so let's bring our hands back to the front. Place one hand on the chest and one hand on the navel. Now we're going to do some deep abdominal breathing. So continue to breathe with the nose only. Let's see if we can breathe. If you can get a sense of breathing into your lower abdomen and let it roll up, let that air, that whole inhalation kind of be like a wave that comes up to the chest. Let's just see if you can, how that is for you now. And then on the exhale, it kind of starts at the chest and goes down to the navel. It's just a wave back and forth, and just see if that's something that your body can do. Good. All right, a few more of those. Good. Now, some of you may have felt like, oh, I could do it here, but maybe not here or not in the back. So let's kind of play with this. We're going to loosen this muscle up a little bit more. And here's a way you can do that. So once again, bring your hands to your waist, really hold the waist. And we're going to do some movements with the shoulders. So it's going to move the rib cage and move the shoulders. We're going to exercise this muscle. So The way that I want to do this, I'll describe it first and then we'll do it together. We're going to take a nice big breath in, but this one we want to keep in the chest. This time we do want to chest breathe. We're going to breathe into our lungs, fill them up as much as you can, hold that breath, and then you're going to do a little bearing down. You're going to push down. And we're going to push down on that muscle. So you're going to just kind of tighten the muscle a little bit and bear down a little bit here to push down on that diaphragm. And as you hold your breath, you're going to make some circles with the shoulders and kind of start to loosen that muscle up in the front, the back, left, and right. So we're going to be playing with this idea of almost like we're massaging our way around the muscle to loosen it up so that it can have this full use of the diaphragm. So let's try that together. So hands here at the waist. Take a breath into your lungs. Fill the chest. So we're not trying to breathe down here. Front, back, whole lungs, get them nice and full. And then hold that breath, bear down. And now let's move. Let's do clockwise. Let's all go to the left, front, to the back, to the right, to the back, and just make slow circles. And then exhale as you need to. Good. Let's try that again. We're going to breathe in. Fill those lungs, push down as much as you can, hold that pushing, and then slowly move in a nice circle, clockwise circle. And you might notice one area you want to kind of just go back and forth, almost like a bottle brush, going back and forth, pushing down, bearing down, and then release the breath. Whew. It's like a workout, isn't it? Who knew breath was a workout? Let's do it one more time. Breathe into the chest. Press down and let's do it again. Slow, kind of just go in circles around, moving the shoulders really. So the hips don't move. We're only moving the lower, upper part of the body here to really accentuate that, bearing down and then release it. All right. And let's just check in with our breath just for a moment here. One hand on the chest, one hand on the navel. See if it's a little bit easier. Breathing into the abdomen, creating this nice flow all the way up to the chest. Exhale, let it flow back down. Chance to honor your breath, creating more fullness. As we create more fullness, all this breath comes in, it fills you up, it charges up and supports all these organs. It helps your digestion come more online. It helps your immune system come more online. Helps your nerves calm, lets your body relax because it's no longer in fight or flight. So all of this is to support that. Let's do this one more time. So we're going to really get this muscle going. So bring your hands back to the waist and we'll do circles in the opposite direction. Just in case something's stuck, we can sometimes to work in both directions is a good way to really get that muscle going. So let's once again take a breath into the lungs. Fill them up. Nice and full, push down onto that diaphragm there, and let's make circles in the opposite direction. Whatever direction you're going before, if you're going clockwise, let's go counterclockwise and slowly just kind of circle those shoulders. Bearing down, pushing down on the muscle. And exhale as you need to. Good, let's do that again. Breathing in, filling the lungs. Push down on the diaphragm and circles. Keeping the hips stationary, circle the shoulders and the ribs. Really push on that muscle. Noticing any area where it's really feeling constricted, you can focus on that area and release the breath. All right, and one more time. Filling the lungs. Pushing down and circle around. And you may want to just kind of stay in the back. That area seems to be stuck for a lot of people. Or maybe you got one more, a little bit easier to breathe on the right side or the left side. Just kind of get a sense of that. Circling around. And exhale. Whew, there you go. Once again, hand to the chest. Hand to the navel. Some nice, long, deep breaths. Super. Smile as you breathe. Good. Let's just check and see. Let's put the hands back here and let's just see if it's a little bit easier to breathe out. Just do a little checking in. How are we doing now? Is that muscle a little more open? Are you able to breathe? Pushing your hands in, using your breath to push it out? Is it a little bit easier for you? Once again, just like our Qigong practice, we want to smile. We're bringing more vitality into the body. And then let your hands come to the lower back. And let's do our slight tuck of the tailbone. Once again, just kind of checking out, kind of like before and after. Let's just see if it's a little bit easier to breathe into your lower back. So you drop it down as you inhale and relax it as you exhale. Notice as we charge up the kidneys, getting that energy to flow more fully into your body. Good. And then letting your hands drop down by your sides. Continue to breathe and just get that long, slow, deep breath going without the hands on the body. Just kind of sense of how's your breath now. Good. Let's bring our hands to the navel. And let's just make some circles to lock in that chi. And do a few in the other direction. All right. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit more energized just through deep breathing. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, so now let's just find a comfortable place to sit. We're going to do a short meditation. I think I'll do it without music. So sometimes we have music in the background, but it feels really nice just to flow from that wonderful breathing into a meditation. So closing your eyes and going back to that breath. Now that you're sitting, feel the openness in the breath. Nice, deep, full breath, really effortless. Almost like a sense of floating. And smile. Good. And smiling, and as you notice that as you smile, that it lifts your body up, it lifts your energy. And so just taking that moment, smile and feel grateful to yourself for being here, for practicing the breathing, for sitting for a meditation, doing good things for yourself this morning. So smile to yourself. Good. And imagine that smile now just lifting up, inviting in a greater smile, a golden light above you, a greater force that connects, that your smile is maybe a small part of a bigger smile. Inviting this golden energy now to come down, to pour down. You might just sort of feel like some energy, or maybe you have visuals. But just inviting this energy into the top, onto the top of your head, and inviting it to pour now down over the front of the body, from the top of the forehead, melting down over your face, your nose, your mouth, coming down the throat, the front, the chest, the arms, coming down the abdomen, down the legs, all the way down to your hands and feet. Beautiful blessing of golden light. And looking up again and inviting more of this golden light now to pour down the top of your head and melt down over the back of the skull, over the ears, over the neck, and feeling everything relax. Then the neck muscles, the skull muscles relaxing as it pours down the neck, the shoulders, down the arms relaxing. Now all the muscles of the back and the spine relaxing, opening, coming down to the buttocks, down the back of the legs to the feet. And just feeling that sense of peace. And then coming up again to the top of the head, inviting this golden light to enter through the crown, to drop in and illuminate the brain, the hemispheres of the brain, bringing this golden light into the left hemisphere. Beautiful, healing, relaxing, golden light, letting it cross over into the right hemisphere. Filling that with golden light, coming back and forth, helping to integrate left and right hemispheres of the brain, bringing that golden light down into the cerebellum at the back, bringing the golden light into the glands of the brain, the pineal, the pituitary, thalamus, hypothalamus, the brainstem. All these aspects. Receiving this light, bringing this light now into your eyes, optic nerves, and visual cortex. Bringing the light into the sinus cavities, into the inner ears, into your nose, into your mouth, your gums, your teeth, your tongue. Bringing this golden light down through the throat, down and light up your thyroid gland at the base of your throat, bringing balancing energy here. Bringing more golden light down behind the breastbone, bringing that into the thymus gland to support your T cells and your immune system. Bringing golden light into the heart and smiling to your heart at the same time. Appreciating your heart that works so hard. Giving your heart a smile, giving your heart some love and appreciation. Letting this golden light continue to move up into the chest, into the lungs, and fill the lungs. Healing energy in the lungs. Transforming and smiling and appreciating the lungs for all they do. Letting this golden light now flow into the liver on the right side, smiling to your liver, which works so hard, often gets overworked in our society, our culture. So smiling to your hardworking liver, bringing this blessing of light, blessing of healing into the liver, letting it fill through all the lobes of the liver. And then across into the spleen. On the left side, underneath the rib cage, a horseshoe-shaped, crescent-shaped organ, very important for grounding. So smiling and bringing healing light to your spleen and also to your pancreas, which is tucked a little bit behind the stomach. So smiling to the pancreas, and just your spiritual intent is enough to bring it to the right places. So smiling, bringing this wonderful healing light, and then bringing the healing light into the kidneys. Smiling to your kidneys, and the kidneys fill with this beautiful light, charging up, breathing, relaxing, opening to energy. Good, and then inviting this beautiful golden light now to flow into the stomach, filling the stomach with light, partner of the spleen and pancreas, filling the gallbladder with light, partner of the liver, flowing down into the small intestine, which is the partner of the heart, filling the small intestine with light, and then into the colon, partner of the lungs, and flowing up, this light coming up the ascending colon on the right, across the transverse beneath the rib cage, and descending on the left back to the rectum. Bringing the healing light into the bladder, the partner of the kidneys. And then into your reproductive organs. Letting your reproductive organs become filled with healing light. Feeling all of this energy, filling you up with this golden light all the way down your legs to your feet, down your arms to your hands, and down into the earth now. Imagine now that there are roots coming out through the soles of your feet, reaching into the earth, expanding downwards, down, down, and reaching out horizontally, anchoring, and finding those tendrils that are connected to your energy field, and welcoming the earth's energy, the beautiful healing vitality, your source of life force, coming up from the earth, healing energy, sometimes blue, sometimes golden, or golden and blue. Let that rise up to the feet and begin to flow upward as if you were a tree, rising through the feet, as if it was springtime and the sap was rising all the way up and feeling the tops of your shoulders as if there were branches that could reach up towards the heavens, having more branches, limbs coming from the top of the head, until you feel those roots and the tree branches above you reaching towards the sky. From earth reaching upward to the heavens. And feeling how this flow is natural, how it's the force that lifts up the tree, it lifts up the flowers, all the plants, even the blade of grass is lifted up through this rising force towards the heavens, towards the light. And then inviting in the heavenly energies, the sunlight, the moon, the stars, the planetary forces, through your branches, through your leaves, gathering this light, drawing it in and sending it down through you, all the way back down into the earth. Feel that energy wanting to go down into the earth. Feeling yourself as this channel, as this connector, as the energy from above, from the heavens, reaches down into the earth, and the energy of the earth again reaches upwards through you into the heavens. Good. And then bringing your awareness back down into you and into the very center, which is your heart. Breathe here at your heart. And feel yourself centered with these flows and opening these flows and placing your hands on the heart. And appreciating yourself, that you are a channel of heaven and earth. All of your meridians are designed to channel these flows. And so smiling, the great yin of the earth, the great yang of heaven moving through you, charging you up. And then bringing your palms down to your lower abdomen, down to the navel. Letting all of the energy gather back here. Gathering back at the navel. Breathing. And then collecting that energy, moving your hands around the navel. Maybe 3 times in each direction. As if you were just like gathering some wool. It's like rotating, bringing it in there. You breathe in and then rubbing your hands together. Breathing in, bring that chi into the eyes. Exhale. Bring it around your face a few times. Over the head, tapping over your head, down your neck, and down the arms. I know this chi flow, and the other arm. And down around the chest, just that wonderful energy. You want to keep everything moving down the legs, your feet, and coming back up to the navel. I just wanted to demonstrate something, doing that we are, I have to move my screen, but up a little bit. Because we are like trees. All of we have the yin forces, the yin that rises up. And these are all the meridians. And the meridians rise all the way up. So if we're a tree, in the front of the body, all of the yin rises. And on the back of the body, the yang channels all flow down. And they also sort of flow all around it. So they're very protected. But we have the yang forces that flow downward. They're always flowing down to the earth. So you are naturally, and health and vitality is having these flows. And okay, so anyway. Okay, so I think we need to go through the second half of our PowerPoint now and give some details about the course. Okay. Okay, so this is 4 seminars held online via Zoom. However, each seminar is 10 days.
We can't see it, Wendy.
Oh, thank you, John. I guess I got too high during that meditation. This happens. I have to have John here to like, come back. I'm enjoying myself. Okay, here we go. This feels so good and relaxed. There we go. Okay. So, second point, each seminar is 10 days, which is divided into 2, and we have a 5-day, and our days, as you see down below, are 9 till 1, so they're not full days. Divided into 2, we have a 5-day Part A segment and a 5-day Part B segment. So there's P1A and P1B. So it used to be there was just P1 and it was 5 days, but that only gave 4 seminars a year. And we're finding with the online, with spreading it out, that it's much more integrated, that people have more time to work through all the material and work with it. So we're finding that it really works for us. All 5-day seminar segments run Wednesday through Sunday. Our workshop hours are from 9 till 1 each day Pacific time. The program is completed in June with a 3-day online clinic for the general public, also on Zoom. And it's a distance clinic and it works really well. There may be some opportunity for a live clinic, but we're not going to suggest that until that's actually something that's happened. So all classes are recorded and made available to students at no extra charge following each segment. Yes. So, oh, that says 22, 23 up above, but it's not. It's 23, 24. Note to change that. So part A, September 29th to October 1st. This is all the dates, and they're also on the website. So November 1st.
Actually, Wendy, it
Yes.
actually begins on the 27th
You're
because that's
right.
only 3 days.
How'd that happen? Okay, thank you, John.
So that's the actually, everyone, just so you know, it's the 27th to October 1st.
Okay, and we're going to change that right here because that's too big a thing, and it's also 3/24. Okay.
And I think those April dates are a little off too because it ends on the 7th. 3rd to the 7th.
Give that to me again then.
It's April 3rd to April 7th.
Oh, that's what I have for May here. Okay. Are they both the same?
No.
Okay, so we'll
We're gonna
send
get the
out
right dates for you.
Okay, but the other ones are right. 27th to 1st, November 1st to 5th, December 5th to 10th, January 31st to February 4th. That sounds right. March 6th. Oh, I got to get this.
That's correct. That was correct. Yeah. The
Okay,
April one is the 3rd to the 7th.
Okay.
And the reason I know that is because my birthday's on the 8th, and I knew we finished the day before my birthday.
Okay. So we'll get that to you, the correct dates. The clinic looks right. And
The clinic is correct.
part 4 is right?
And no, that is May 8th to the 12th.
Okay. Well, let's get off of this page. I had to fix that. Okay, origins of the training. Our program is based on the original teachings from the Haidan and Xi'an University hospitals of traditional Chinese medicine and medical Qigong in Beijing, China, which drew from the ancient knowledge of Chinese Qigong masters. So this is what our teaching is, what our books are from. It's all the compilation of this. After studying in China, Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson introduced the energetics of Chinese medicine to the West and formed the International Institute of Medical Qigong. So that's where this is our foundations. And that work has become the 5-volume series of Chinese energetic medicine. And we use these books and work from the syllabus of the original International Institute of Medical Qigong, which is the most highly regarded program of its kind. So this is the premier way of working. In the background, I think we sort of did talk about this already. So I think we can pass this one. We did talk about that. Oh, and the bottom of this, John has continued his love of movement with Qigong exercise classes, as well as his wonderful YouTube channel. So John Weiss YouTube channel is great. What's your YouTube channel called, John?
It's just John Weiss,
Okay,
medical Qigong therapist, I think.
great. And so what you learn, you will also pretty much is there. So here are the seminars. Seminar 1 is the introduction with the Qigong, some of which you started to do today, the Taoist 5 Qigong. Basic breath training, which goes a lot more. Emotional detoxification, meditations and practices. Healing sounds, therapy and treatment. Microcosmic orbit practice, grounding meditations, and exercises. Where did that go? Shoot. Yeah, sorry. Establishing a personal medical Qigong workout. So that's what we want you to have by the end of the second seminar. Seminar 2, Introduction to Diagnosis and Treatment, Developing Energetic Sensitivity and Perception Skills. So we're going to start working into this. Energy projection skills. Meeting the Healing Masters, which is a magical event. And we have magic stuff happening in all these. So These are not dry seminars. They're very highly charged seminars. General treatment protocol with distance therapy, magic gloves treatment, understanding the emotional causes of illness, meditations to release emotional blockages, lots of meditations in this seminar, meditations to understand the relationships of body, energy, emotions, mind, and spirit. And we really start to really introduce the intuitive development skills here. And seminar, 3, clinical foundations, 3 realms of ancient Taoist mysticism, creating energy balls, gathering plant essences from nature, creating personal talismans, materializing and dematerializing energy, beginning a healing practice, Qi healing methods, including invisible needle, energetic point therapy, thunder palms, flying dragon, and many more. Qi self-massage, color therapy, and of course, clinical practice going on.
We call that one we call that one the toolbox seminar.
Yes, it's amazing. Seminar 4, Introduction to Disease Treatment Protocols and Energetic Prescriptions. And so here we have the treatment of organ diseases with lots of protocols, treatment for specific conditions, healing sound therapy, which is used, self-healing and for healing others as part of treatments. How to work with death and dying, advanced energy reading, and intuitive skills. So we're going to keep you on the intuitive. Introduction to Shamanic Chinese Medicine Medical Qigong Clinic. So you have your first clinic here, and then your clinical exam, a practical exam. And never worry about these because we have you highly prepared to take these exams. And everybody does great on them. So it's not a thing to sweat. And of course, our graduation celebration at the end of that one. Okay, all classes are on Zoom. So how does this work? Exercises, lectures, meditation, etc. easily work on Zoom. All students are sent an inflatable life-size body to use during the training. So we had to find some way to be able to work on something. So that's what we send. When you sign up for the course, you will, before the class, at least before the second seminar begins, you will receive the surrogate. So this is the surrogate body that you'll use. It's nice to have a massage table, but not necessary until seminar 3B when you're required to find a live volunteer to work on. And so you need to have, at some point, you need to have some way to work on a person live. I mean, you can even use, foam pads on a banquet table or something. Students will be exchanging sessions with partners. I'm rotating throughout the class when working at a distance. And this is surprisingly effective. You will be amazed. And of course, the clinic at the end of the year is also a distance clinic. Textbooks students are provided with highly informative handouts, as well as a copy of the class PowerPoint as a PDF following the seminar. Textbooks are not required for Seminar 1, but highly recommended, and are a huge asset throughout the practitioner training. You can order the books on the website and will be shipped promptly. I can't guarantee that right now, as books are getting low, and I'm going to have to go make a book run. So actually, I might go see Dr. Johnson and I get to have a nice visit with him and then pick up textbooks. Practice, homework, and exams. This class is life-changing, and practicing the exercise, meditations, and session work is the foundation for that transformation. And we recommend that you can devote an hour a day to this. We will be setting up support groups and mentors to keep the energy going between the classes. This really makes a difference. And so one of the things that we do is a mentored group to work on your exams. So those take-home exams are something that you can work on as a group. And then we have WhatsApp groups so that you're able in the class, so the whole class is able to talk to each other, and you're doing an exam, you got a question, it's like, hey, does anyone know what, blah, 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 blah. And then we just want you to be connected and to be focused. So it's really great to have this whole network going on. So there's a homework exams following each seminar. There's an opportunity to review what was taught and assimilate the information and practices. Completion of homework is required for certification. So those homework exams do need to be done at some point. They don't have to be done before the next seminar, but they do need to be done before you get your full certification. The end of the 4th seminar.
But let me just say add
Yes.
one thing there, Wendy.
Yes.
But they are, if you want to do them in order, it's a great way to keep the learning and help yourself if you do them right after the seminar, because you usually have a month before the next seminar starts, so you have some time.
Yeah.
Like Wendy said, you don't have to. You just have to have them all turned in by the end. We're just trying to, I just want to avoid, it can be human nature that we we wait till the end and then we got 4 exams we got to do in all at the same time. So I'm trying to help you with that, that if you do them together, and that's why we really invite you to work together through your mentor groups. You can set up all different ways to do that.
Yeah. Great. Okay, and the end of the 4th seminar, there's a practical and written exam. We have already been watching our students work throughout the year, so no worries. And you'll be 100% prepared. We are proud that all of our students have passed the exam. Who take it? You have to take it to pass it. That is the prerequisite. The people who don't get it are the ones who say, I can't take the exam. It's like, oh, yes, you can. Anyway. We do lots of prepping you for that. Practitioner certification levels. We have the Empty Mountain Qigong Practitioner certification. You complete all the courses, clinical hours, and exams. And then the Shamanic Chinese Medicine, you do all that, and you have the Channeling 1 course, and then you get the Shamanic Chinese Medicine. Then the IIMQ, International Institute of Qigong, is IIQ SCM. Medical Qigong Practitioner certification, complete all courses, the clinic and the exams, plus 48 hours of clinical externship, which means 48 hours of sessions. And then there's some things around that, and the same thing, and then with it, and add the channeling into that. And then that's the certification at that same level for the Shamanic Chinese Medicine as a Shamanic Chinese Medicine Practitioner. So there are a few other things about those 48 hours, like they can't just be all on one person or your dog, but there's a way that's broken down and you'll receive all that information. Levels of training: practitioner, 4 seminars completed in 1 year, therapists, 4 seminars along with TCM. So at that level, you also need an additional TCM course and anatomy and physiology if you don't already have anatomy and physiology. And they can be completed they would be completed over 2 years. The master's program is 4 seminars, and it can overlap with the second part of the therapist. So I do have some people who are doing both together, plus other requirements, which is more of the TCM at that level. And other requirements. That's too long to get into. Completed over 2 years. And then we also sometimes run a doctoral program with 6 seminars, including writing a dissertation over 3 years. Currently not scheduled. And shamanic requirements. The practitioner level is channeling 1. Therapist level, it's mediumship or channeling 2. And the master's level, it's the whole channeling series plus light body meditation series. So we find all those things are super helpful to really bring a person up to that level that we want them to be. Benefits is actually an accelerated path of spiritual growth, masquerading as an energy healer course. You'll be transformed at every level. You truly embody what it means to be a magical, intuitive healer. You will learn the ancient arts of the Wu shamans. These are for real magical abilities that you really can't believe you're capable of, and yet you'll be doing this work. You will become part of a community of healers who support each other and have each other's back. We'll be doing amazing work, and it's important to have friends who you can share with. Yeah, that's really true. I just got together with, I'm sorry, I just got together with some folks um, who are in Tawasin in Vancouver, because I was always teaching live there. And it's such a strong community, and people really develop very deep, lasting friendships from going through this program. It's wonderful. Okay, so this is a little bit old here. So I'm thinking that I should not be putting this on the screen. I think it's mostly the same, but 9, it's a little bit more. Oh no. Anyway, that's different. So John will go over that one with you. Somehow I didn't see that when I was doing all those slides, but it's pretty close. In fact, it's better than that. So could you go over that for us, John?
Sure. Anyone that registers for the course, if you register for the course, the fee for the course, we pay per seminar. You don't have to pay the whole thing up front. If you want, we can offer you a slightly more discount, $100 off the total tuition. That's an option. But the seminars cost $9.95 per seminar, and there are 4 of them. But Wendy and I are offering, it's like, here's our deal of the at the end here. We'll give you a discount if you register and pay the deposit by the end of this month. So today's the 19th, so you have until the 31st. Then we'll give you the early bird rate for the first seminar, which is $9.25. So the first seminar will be $9.25, and then the remaining 3 will be at the $9.95 rate. And
then we have the $375 for the. And then
I was going to say that the $375, and then we have a clinic at the end of the year, which is 3 days, which is a total of $375. We do have payment plans, so if anyone wants to, if it doesn't work for you, we can run payment plans from the beginning of the course to the end, which works out to 10 months, and just take that whole thing and divide it by 10, and you can just pay 10 equal payments throughout the year. And we have many people that
we're not charging interest on that. That's not a
mandate. Yeah, we don't charge any interest. So it's all,
we just like try to make it easier for people.
Basically it's out of supporting you, because we know that it could be a big chunk at one time. So for those that would like that, you can email me and I'll be happy to give you a lot more details about how that would work. So if that's interest, but those that are interested and ready to go, you can sign up by the end of the month and get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah. Okay, so that's great. Questions?
Question time.
I know.
We won't put you on the video. Don't worry. We'll just have your voice though. So
yeah, just unmute.
Just unmute.
Or you can put it even in the chat. I'll open up.
Or if you'd rather not talk, you can just put it in the chat.
Either way. Yes.
So.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Hi. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the meditation about the organs, the breathing work also. And thank you for your time.
Yes.
And I have some questions. I would like to know the total of hours if I decide to take the four seminars. That would be one question. And the second one, I saw in the emptymountain.com that there are 3 levels of certification: practitioner, therapist, and master.
Yes.
Right.
I would like to have a little bit more of clarification. If Empty Mountain is the same course that you are offering, the same levels of certification, and what is Empty Mountain?
Okay. Empty Mountain is the school. The name of the school is Empty Mountain.
I see.
Empty Mountain is the name of the school, Empty Mountain Institute. It's the name of our school. And so our basic certification that you get with us it's just with us, is the Empty Mountain certification for completing the exams. If you want to have the larger body, the International Institute of Qigong and Shamanic Chinese Medicine certification, then you have to do the hours, and there's some other requirements, and that gives you a certification from a larger body of schools.
Okay, that means that Empty Mountain is a Vancouver, a local.
No, it's she's in California.
California.
I see.
It's in California. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
So that's Wendy's institute that she's created over 30 some years. And then there's another, that's why she said the channeling gives you another level and you can get a bigger certification. It's not required. If you think you just want to do this, you could do that and get the certification through Wendy's school, institute.
But it's just one type of certification or 3 certification, one practitioner, one therapist, and one master.
Yeah. So there are altogether, there are 12 seminars, 4 per level, and they build on each other. So the first 4 seminars are practitioner, the second 4 seminars are therapist, and the third 4 seminars are masters. And you can't do masters without doing all the others. So they all build on each other. Does that answer that question?
Kind of.
It's not separate. It's not a separate thing. It's just you start off as a practitioner, then you become a therapist. You graduate as a therapist, and then you graduate as a master.
I see. And so how many hours in total? If I am checking the sheet here, the practitioner training, and it mentioned part A, B, 4 seminars. So if in total, how many hours?
Well, it would be a total of
for the practitioner level, you have class time is 40 hours, but there's there's 200 hours in total with other things to be, isn't it? Or is
it's not 40 hours. It's 100. I think it's 160.
Oh, right. Excuse me. 40 hours per seminar.
40 hours per seminar. And plus the clinic. So it's a 200-hour certification.
Yeah.
And it's like 200, and I don't know.
I see.
It's called 200-hour. Then the therapist level is a 500-hour certification. And then the master's is I think it's 1,000 hours.
1,000.
Yeah.
So, in other words, if I want to get a certification, I have to take the 4 seminars?
Yes, correct.
All 4 seminars for each level. Yeah, you have to finish all 4 to get the certification for practitioner. The next 4, if you want to be a therapist, the final 4 to become a master.
Okay.
So to get your practitioner, you need the first 4 seminars plus the clinic.
Right.
Plus the exams completed. That's the requirements.
That's the requirements.
That gives the basic requirement that gives you the Empty Mountain certification. If you do 48 hours of working on people and keep track of that, and you're going to have all the stuff to do that with, then you can get a higher certification on the practitioner level.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Connie.
Okay.
And Janet wrote something in the chat, just wondering how most of the connection to the spiritual world is done. Channeling, meditation, any journaling?
Journeying.
Yeah,
all those things.
Not journaling.
You're correct. All those things are very helpful. Channeling's great. The meditations, we really focus on it being, that we make this, for anyone who doesn't do the channeling course, we do a really powerful meditations that put you into these places. And definitely these meditations are journeying. Yes. And then part of this is that you learn journeying. So you lead people. On the therapist level, we start teaching you how to lead people through journeys. So all those things are happening. So that's great. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, great. Other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
The internship, the 48 hours. So I'm a nutritionist wanting to add this because I'm finding clinical nutrition is super dry. And when we talk in the functional world about root cause, we're not getting to the root cause at all.
Right. Absolutely.
And so is it possible to use my existing clients as, my patients for the externship hours? Does that work?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Not. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes people do a session and they're doing one kind of thing and then they add in maybe, half hour of this per session or just say, hey, would you like to try a little bit of this? I'm learning this. Would you be willing to be a guinea pig for me? And generally people say yes.
I'm just curious about how I'm trying to envision how I'm going to bring this into my practice. I feel a pretty strong calling that it needs to come in because what I'm doing now is like John, you said you had digestive issues and treat that a lot. And I can treat if somebody has SIBO or IBS, I can give a botanical treatment and I can give, a low FODMAP diet. But ultimately, if you don't heal the pattern that caused that in the first place,
Right.
it's a lot deeper than just what you eat. And so I'm just wondering how people, do you get a sense for, because I'm dealing with people in the workaday world, right? Like when you introduce these practices to them that are addressing like the energetic and spiritual levels, how, are people like, oh, no way. I'm just wondering how you go about that.
So you'll first of all be doing energetic treatment. So you have to kind of like step into these. So you would start and you could just say, start doing some energy work on them, as long as you have a table that they can lie down on. And just say, and because you also be sort of reading, you're going to get to read their energy fields. And you'll see as you get into this that you're learning so much as you step into it, that you will be able to definitely help people more. And then on top of that, you're going to be able to give them what they need in the world of the nutrition and the herbal supplements or all those things. So you're going to become a real one-stop shop.
and the other thing I want to add too is that's really important here too is you work with what they come up with. If they're, like, I don't want to go to that. The funny thing is you can introduce them to an exercise, maybe just their breath, maybe a 5 yang exercise, and they're going to be getting the other part, and you can start to add that in as they start to see, oh, this actually helps. Then they're more open to the uncertainty of, oh, shamanic, what are you talking about? And then you start to break down some of those barriers, because I find that people that are, kind of in the 9-to-5ers that are in a certain, maybe a mindset, it's not judging them, but it's just saying that's where they're at. You go where they're at and give them something like an exercise, and they get to see that it works for them. And then you can start to add in some more of the other stuff and really get to that root cause. So it might have to be a stair step for some people, is what I'm saying.
And also with the distance healing, because my practice is largely virtual, I'm really interested in the.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, perfect.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be a one-stop shop. It's awesome. I totally agree with Wendy.
Can you do this? Because one of my supervisors, I'm doing my CNS certification. I have to have my 1,000 hours. And one of my supervisors was saying sometimes she'll do some energetic work on people without them knowing. Is this a thing? Is that like, she'll just say, just try it, put your hands on your lower, if it's a client that you're very comfortable with, and just see if you can feel the energy, not do anything, but see if you can tap into that.
Oh, okay.
But just, start to tap in that way. That's not something I've done. I mean, I think I do some of it intuitively. You can just kind of read people's faces and their body language, but I'm really interested in that component since I have a virtual practice. So
That's so great. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you'll discover a lot. Yeah,
great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
great. Okay, well, we kind of come to the end. Of course, you're always welcome to, contact us with more questions that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Happy to answer any questions. Feel free to email me. I'm the coordinator of the course, so feel free to do that. I'll be happy to.
And you can ask me questions
Of
too.
course,
So
Wendy too. I'm not saying can't talk Wendy.
you can ask me questions.
Please don't. I wasn't pushing you.
If it's questions about the, he's coordinating, the
Nuts and bolts.
yeah. So you go to him for that stuff. Like, let's set up a payment plan or something like that. That's a John thing.
Yeah.
If you have more esoteric questions.
That's
or
a good way of putting
other
it.
kinds of questions.
That's a great
like
way
that.
of putting it.
That's a funny way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's close.
Let's do a little closing.
So,
So invite everybody to stand up again.
yep. Okay, so we're just going to close. Nice closing with John taught you the pulling down the heavens. And we're just going to do a slightly different version of that. So we're just going to start again by connecting to the earth. Feel the energy of the earth. Breathe in. Lift up towards the heavens. Feel the energy of the heavens. And inviting this energy now down through the physical. Down through the physical body to kind of enliven and bring healing into your physical level. And then again, breathing in. And invite in, this time, the energetic level, the chi level. And bring that down to bring balance and harmony and great flow into the energies of the body, into all of the meridians, all of the organ energies. Again, connecting to earth and sky, smiling and inviting in the spiritual. And inviting the spiritual in to bring balance and harmony and to bring all three bodies together in balance. Good. And then bringing in all of life with gratitude, bringing that into your heart, smiling, feeling grateful to life, and sending that gratitude for life out into the world. And thank you all for being here.